I'm sometimes asked, what can we do? What can we do about well-being? How can we improve our well-being? And there's an image I find really helpful here that I heard about when I was a medical student over 30 years ago. And it's this image of a boat on water, and illness is a bit like when the boat crashes into a rock. And doctors are a bit like geologists. They know all about the rocks that people can crash into. The water level is a bit like our level of well-being or resilience, that when that's low, we're more likely to crash into rocks. When it's higher, we're more likely to float over rocks that we might otherwise crash into. And I use that as an image when I'm teaching courses on well-being. I get people to draw a line, say that's your water level, and then be aware of what are any downward arrows, anything that pushes it down. So one step towards increasing well-being is to know what threatens it, what risks it, what reduces well-being. And you can apply that at any system level, well-being in yourself, well-being in a team or community, well-being in our society as a whole, or well-being in the planet as a whole. There are downward damaging factors, but there are also nourishing, healing factors at any system level as well. And so one of the tasks of improving our well-being is just to become more literate, as it were, more aware of some of the different factors that push it up. And particularly, I have a system, I call it the self-help SSRI. Those are 4 letters, and they stand for strategies, strengths, resources, and insights. And each of those is a different area we can give our attention to if we want to improve well-being. So strategies are things that we do, learning mindfulness, paying attention to our diet, engaging in regular exercise, giving attention to the quality of our relationships, our friendships. Strengths that support well-being, including sometimes the strength of self-awareness, of knowing when I'm behaving in a way that is threatening my own or someone else's well-being. The resources are anything, I think of them almost like roots of a tree, things that we turn to outside ourselves, including self-help books, organisations such as Network of Wellbeing, courses, internet, and then insights are the ideas that really make a difference. And I think one idea that makes such a big difference to well-being is just that idea of this image of the water level, that there are things we can do, practices that we can learn. We can train ourselves to get more aware of the many choice points in a day where we could do something that just nudges our level of well-being upwards. When I talk about active hope, I think of it as having 3 steps. The first step is to start from where you are, facing what you face, feeling what you feel. Then it's to identify what you hope for. And the third key step is to be active in heading that way, active in making your hopes more likely to happen. A question I often ask groups is, what's your assessment of the problems we face? And I do a problemometer where over here is like there's no problem at all, and over here is like really severe, catastrophic. And when I do that with particularly groups concerned about sustainability, unsurprisingly there's widely shared concerns, the fingers tend to be over here. Then I also ask, let's do a responsometer. If we were to look at how well developed is our collective response to the problems that we face. Where over here is we have a mass, widespread, inspiring, empowered, creative response. And over here is like there's not really much happening at all. It's kind of like being fast asleep really as a society. And on the whole, if that's a 0 to 10 scale, there's a over here for problem and over here for response. And I think we need to develop a new language to describe the task of energising and mobilising the response. And I've come up with this phrase, niai ta flow, as a state that we can be in. We can be in a state of niai ta flow. Or if I was to wish something for somebody, it might be, may you grow your niai ta flow. And it stands for letters. There's N-E-E-A-I, which stands for nourished, energised, empowered and inspired. And then the TAFLOE, T-A-F-L-O-E, is to act for life on earth. And when we're in a state of being nourished, energised, empowered and inspired to act for life on earth, it not only means that we've got more to contribute to our world, we're actually likely to have a much more satisfying, fulfilling life. Something I often see happen in relation to concerns about the world is what I call a going nowhere story. And it's where you have someone who deeply wants to do something, but their desire to make a difference in the world bumps into a feeling of it can't happen, it's impossible. And research surveys have shown that actually it's one of the commonest responses to concerns about the world is feelings of powerlessness that lead to that going nowhere story. A lovely saying I find helpful is, in order to get to where you want to go, you need to start from where you are. And if you're feeling nowhere, one place you can go from there is, instead of nowhere, is just to move the W from the beginning of where to the end of no. And you move from nowhere to now, here. And that's about being present to whatever is going on, whatever's going on outside and also inside too. If you're feeling despair, then that's your starting point. If you're feeling hopelessness, that's your starting point. Well-being is being well, is things working out well. And I see that as it's a state, but more important than a state, it's a direction to move in.